This sounds like you want something dramatic, suspenseful, and emotional. I'll create a full-length story with twists, tension, and a powerful ending. Here's a draft. 2000 worlds. He came home early and caught his wife, hurting his little daughter. The ending will leave you in tears. The year was 2000, and Daniel's life looked perfect from the outside. A steady job, a beautiful house, and a family he would have died for. His wife, Clara, and their 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Every morning, Daniel kissed them both goodbye before heading to work, carrying the quiet pride of a man who believed he had built a safe world for his child. But that illusion cracked one cold Tuesday afternoon. Daniel's manager unexpectedly sent him home early, a rare gift. Excited to surprise his family, Daniel drove back, imagining Lily's giggles and Clara's warm smile. He parked quietly, slipped his key into the door, and tiptoed inside. That's when he heard it. Not laughter, not the hum of the TV, but crying. Stifled, broken sobs. Daniel froze, his daughter's voice. He followed the sound, each step heavy, until he reached the bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, and through the gap, his world shattered. Clara's hand was raised, her face twisted in anger, as Lily cowered against the bed, clutching her arm. "Why can't you just do what I tell you?" Clara hissed, shaking the child. Daniel's heart stopped. He burst into the room. "Clara!" His voice thundered, making both of them jump. Lily ran to him, burying her tear-streaked face into his chest. Daniel's arms wrapped around her instinctively, protectively, as rage boiled in his veins. Clara stammered, I was just what?" Daniel spat, his eyes blazing. "Hurting her?" For a moment, silence choked the room. Clara's defenses collapsed. She muttered excuses about stress, about being overwhelmed, about Daniel not being home enough, but nothing justified the bruise forming on Lily's delicate skin. Daniel knew then. The woman he thought he knew was gone. That night, Daniel made a choice. He packed a bag for Lily, tucked her into the back seat of the car, and drove. Away from the house, away from Clara, away from the nightmare that had been hiding in plain sight. Lily clutched her stuffed bunny as the headlights carved a path into the dark road. "Daddy, are we going to be okay?" she whispered. Daniel glanced at her in the mirror, his throat tight. "Yes, sweetheart. From now on, I promise, you'll be safe." And he meant it. The years that followed weren't easy. Courts, papers, sleepless nights. But Daniel never looked back. He built a new life for Lily, one filled with laughter, bedtime stories, and love that asked for nothing in return. The ending wasn't what Daniel once imagined when he stood at the altar years before. But as he watched Lily grow into a strong, smiling young woman, he realized something profound. Sometimes the greatest endings are not about finding the right partner, but about becoming the protector your child always needed. And that ending, though born of pain, was a beginning worth every sacrifice. 2000 Worlds. Part 2. The Courtroom and the Secret Months. After Daniel left Clara, the battle began. Clara wasn't the type to let go. In court, she painted Daniel as an impulsive father who overreacted. She smiled sweetly at the judge, dressed in perfect pastels, as if she were the very picture of motherhood. "She's making it up," Clara insisted, her voice dripping with false sincerity. Daniel is confused. He's filling Lily's head with lies because he wants full custody. Daniel's fists clenched beneath the table. He wanted to shout, but his lawyer squeezed his arm. "Stay calm," she whispered. But the hardest part came when Lily was called in. Just 7 years old, small legs dangling from the big wooden chair, she looked around the courtroom with wide, frightened eyes. Clara smiled at her, the same smile Daniel now recognized as a mask. "Sweetheart," the judge said gently, "can you tell us if your mommy ever hurt you?" Silence. Daniel's heart pounded. He prayed Lily would speak, prayed she wouldn't let fear silence her. Clara's stare bore into her daughter like a dagger. And then Lily said the words that changed everything. "She told me if I told the truth, she'd hurt Daddy too." The room froze. Clara's face drained of color. The judge's gavel struck the desk. That moment shattered Clara's facade. Daniel won custody, but the scars of betrayal lingered. Clara vanished from their lives soon after, swallowed by her own bitterness. Years passed. Daniel and Lily found their rhythm. She grew stronger, brighter, her laughter slowly returning like sunlight after a storm. Daniel thought the worst was behind them, but life wasn't finished with them yet. One autumn evening, while clearing boxes from the attic, Daniel stumbled across something tucked inside a dusty shoebox, a collection of old letters. Some were written by Clara, some were not. The letters hinted at secrets Daniel never knew, about Clara's past, her family, and the darkness she carried long before she became his wife. One line in particular made his blood run cold. "If anything happens to me, it won't be by my hand. They've been watching me for years." Daniel stared at the letter, his hands trembling. Who was they? And what had Clara gotten herself, and possibly Lily, tangled in? The truth, Daniel realized, was far deeper than he ever imagined. And the nightmare might not be over. 2000 Worlds, Part 3, The Shadows of Clara. Daniel sat at the kitchen table long after Lily had gone to bed, the old letters spread before him like fragments of a puzzle he never knew existed. The handwriting shifted between Clara's elegant script and another, more jagged hand. The recurring theme chilled him. They're watching. They don't forget. Protect the child. Who were they? The next morning, Daniel tucked the letters into a folder and visited the only person he thought might still know Clara well, her estranged sister, Marjorie. They hadn't spoken in years, but when she opened the door and saw Daniel holding the folder, her face went pale. "You found them," she whispered, as if she'd been expecting this day. Marjorie reluctantly let him in. Over lukewarm coffee, she revealed the truth. Clara had grown up under the shadow of a cult-like group that believed in bloodline loyalty. They weren't just religious fanatics. They were manipulative, secretive, and obsessed with control. Clara had escaped them when she married Daniel, but she never truly left. They always wanted the children, Marjorie said, her hands trembling around her mug. She was terrified they'd come for Lily one day. Daniel's blood ran cold. The bruises, the outbursts, the paranoia. Clara hadn't just been cruel. She had been cracking under the weight of fear. That night, Daniel double-checked the locks on every door and window. But around midnight, he woke to the sound of footsteps outside. Careful, deliberate. Not the scuffle of a raccoon or the rustle of the wind. He grabbed the baseball bat from under his bed and crept down the hall. Lily's room was at the end, her nightlight glowing faintly beneath the door. But as Daniel reached it, he froze. The door was ajar. Inside, Lily sat upright in bed, eyes wide, staring at the window. A shadow lingered outside the glass. A figure, watching. "Daddy," Lily whispered, voice shaking. "They're here." Daniel lunged forward, pulling the curtains shut and clutching her to his chest. By the time he flung the window open, the yard was empty, just the echo of retreating footsteps disappearing into the night. The letters hadn't been warnings of the past. They were warnings of what was still to come. And Daniel knew, with gut-wrenching certainty, that his fight to protect Lily had only just begun. Daniel didn't sleep after that night. He sat awake in the living room with the bat across his lap, every creak of the house making his chest tighten. Lily had nightmares, waking with tears on her cheeks, whispering the same words again and again. "They're here. They're watching." 2 days later, he noticed something chilling. A car he didn't recognize parked across the street. Same spot. Same time each evening, its windows tinted black. He called the police, but when the cruiser finally came, the car was gone. The officer gave him the usual polite dismissal. Probably just a neighbor or a coincidence. But Daniel knew better. That weekend, while going through Clara's letters again, he found a single name scrawled across the back of one envelope. The Order of the Veil. Marjorie confirmed it over the phone in a hushed voice. They don't let go of their own. Clara was their golden child until she ran. And now that she's gone, they'll want the bloodline. They'll want Lily. Daniel's stomach dropped. His little girl was the target. The attack came sooner than he expected. It was just after midnight when the sound of glass shattering jolted him awake. This wasn't footsteps outside, it was inside the house. Daniel grabbed Lily, who was already crying in terror, and bolted for the back door. But shadows moved through the hallways, whispering in unison, their voices chillingly calm. "Bring her to us. The child must return." He ran into the garage, shoved Lily into the car, and turned the ignition. As the headlights flared to life, he caught sight of them through the windshield. 3 figures in dark cloaks, their faces hidden, their hands pressed flat against the hood of his car as though trying to stop it by sheer will. Daniel floored the gas. The car lurched forward, sending the figures scattering into the night. Tires screeched against pavement as he tore out of the driveway, heart pounding like a war drum. "Daddy!" Lily sobbed, clutching his arm. "It's okay, baby. I've got you. I won't let them take you." But even as he said the words, Daniel saw headlights appear in the rearview mirror, the same black car that had been watching them. Its engine roared, closing in fast. The cult wasn't just watching anymore. They were hunting. And the chase had only begun.